Hi everyone. Please hit that like button as you guys come in. Let's start with the Angela and Marcus situation. But before that, guys, hit that like button like your life depends on it, please and thank you. All right, let me share my screen. A couple of days ago, I covered the story about Marcus and how Marcus alleged on the show that Phaedra was the one that sets the whole thing up. And if you guys remember, I said that the whole thing sounds a bit sketchy. It seems a little bit dodgy. And also, to me, Marcus doesn't exactly seem like somebody that I would trust. Especially because it's like, how do you sit there and then say something like, oh, Junebug was the one that set things up? It's very odd. And to also say that she's the godfather of Atlanta, that just made me realize, yeah, he's just out here just doing the most, has nothing to do with anything. He's just doing what he feels like he can get away with. And so for me, I've sort of questioned his loyalty and, his motives. So, anyways, he's now changing his story completely. So now he is blaming Angela. And so, first of all, shout out to the Neighborhood Talk for covering this. So let's see what Marcus is saying. So Marcus is saying, let's be honest, you blackmailed me to lie on Phaedra. Say I'm lying and I'll release the entire call. Wow. That is a serious accusation. And then he says, RHOA, the finale will be fun. Well, the finale already happened. Or when was this posted? But anyway, and then it goes on to say, and that finale clip, you were protecting me exactly like you said you would on the call. You invited me to the gala after Kelly's event, and you know why. Ooh, you don't protect a stranger unless you have something to gain from them. Oh my gosh. The plot thickens. So then he says, Angela, you don't know me from a can of paint? Why lie? You orchestrated the Phaedra lie and sent that goon to my restaurant to threaten and bully us into saying Charles was there with his daughters. Oh my gosh. Wow. That is some serious allegations. Guys, hit that like button as you guys come in. So Marcus is changing his tune completely. He's basically now saying Angela is the one that puts him up to it, and it wasn't Phaedra. It wasn't Phaedra. Who do you believe? Let me know in the chat, because it's a little suspicious. And now Marcus just provided us with some receipts. Well, I guess receipts that he was invited to the black tie event, but I don't think that's shocking to any of us because we knew that he was going to get invited to the black tie event because Angela had mentioned that. But any event, he posts this, which shows a message that he had with Drew in August. And Drew said, Angela would like me to invite you to this tonight. Hope you can make it out. And then he says, I'll be there as long as you and Angela have my back. And let me have a beverage before you all read me. Ooh. Yeah, I can't lie. That message is looking a little suspicious. It's looking a little suspicious because the fact that he's saying, like, okay, you guys let me have my beverage before you guys read me, it's giving concocted, allegedly. That's what it at least looks like. Or at the very least, it's showing some familiarity between all of them. At least in this message, it sounds like there's some familiarity there. So, who do you guys believe? Do you guys believe Angela is behind this? Do you believe Phaedra is behind this? Do you believe that Marcus is just a random trifling person who is just trying to create drama? Do you think production is behind this? Let me know what you guys think. I would say I feel like it's given storyline. Honestly, it's given storyline. I think if you guys go back to when I talked about the whole Phaedra situation, I said I don't believe that Phaedra had anything to do with it. Not because she is an innocent person. You guys know I don't think Phaedra is innocent, and I still called her out a couple of days ago. But It's not even about that. I just think it just doesn't ring true. Imagine I was the one that told you, and then I'm asking you, so how do you know I'm involved? You're like, oh, through Junebug, and Phaedra is a godfather. Like, what are we talking about? It just sounds so inflated, over the top, and not believable. So to me, I never really believed it. And I was like, I'm not going to hold someone's feet to the fire until I see receipts. And my thing is, Marcus, if you have the full conversation that shows that Angela put you up to it, then post it. Post it. Let's all listen to the full conversation, because now let's get the receipts. Because you spoon feeding us every now and then, giving us a little bit here, a little bit there, I just don't think that's enough. Give us all the receipts. Let's see for ourselves. Let's know what is true and what is not true. So yeah, that is very, very odd to me. Okay, so is there anything else? So I guess this is his friend. Let me see. Marcus's friend says he attended the event with him where Angela was told about Charles's alleged cheating. Me being visibly gagged when Marcus dropped the tea we agreed not to share. Exactly. So it's given Marcus is out here trying to be a star, because why is he sharing the tea that you guys had agreed not to share? A little suspicious. And then if we move things forward a little bit, he said, peep the dates. Last year, after we had filmed the sit down with Angela, me and Marcus text convo. He admits here Phaedra didn't send us. Let's see. I'm trying to read, but it is quite small. So then he says, I'm here. I'm getting chance in the car. LOL. What does that mean? You know, it's a process. Be there in 8. Oh, I'm getting changed in the car is what he meant. And then $15. I'm not sure what that's about. Marcus, why did you switch up? You know, our husband was in the restaurant. And then he says she definitely wanted it to be Phaedra, so I didn't know what else to say. Oh, so it's given, instead of just telling the truth about either not being sent or whoever sent you, it's like, oh, she wanted it to be Phaedra, so he went along with it, at least according to this text message. And then next it says, well, after the meeting, I'm convinced Angela knows about Charles. He already has a terrible image from being bad at MS Gardens and the MGM. She knows what she is dealing with and wants to pin this on Phaedra, and that's not right. Now, I can't see what was said at the bottom of that, but the whole thing is sounding a little suspicious. So let's take a little bit of a poll. Hey, let's take a bit of a poll. Who do you believe, Phaedra or Angela? Or who do you believe sent Marcus, Phaedra or Angela? Let me know in the chat. I see somebody. Let's see. I see someone says Angela. Who else? What do you guys think? Phaedra, Angela, production. Who do you think is in charge of Marcus? Okay. All right. So you think Marcus sent himself? Okay, that's interesting. So I see someone says Angela, another person says Marcus. Okay, so someone thinks Marcus sent himself. Fair enough. Another person thinks Angela. Another person thinks, let's see, what do I think? I think it's a sticky one. I think that it's not looking good in terms of, it looks like a scheme that Todd set up. It definitely is looking like a scheme that was set up, in my opinion. Do I believe that Phaedra is not involved? Yeah, I actually don't think she's involved. Unless I see concrete proof, I don't believe that Phaedra is involved. Now, am I going to go ahead and say that Angela was involved? No, because I do not want to get sued. And, you know, she has definitely posted, Marcus, see you in court, my love. So it sounds like she definitely wants to sue somebody. So I do not know who set this up, but I can smell a scheme that was set up. I will say that. Let's talk about Kelli for a second. So let me share this tab instead so you guys can see. So Kelli is allegedly being sued for a 5-figure credit card debt. Are we surprised? You know, we talked about the fact that we think the money is a little funny. Allegedly. And so I'm not surprised. And for somebody who is always saying, oh, Brit needs to pay her bills or whatever, and making jokes about Brit's finances, is like, honey, it sounds like your finances are not all the way together either. Not the pot calling the kettle black. So shout out to Us Magazine for this. Apparently, Kelli was sued by a debt collector over an alleged 5-figure debt. The Navy Federal Credit Union filed a complaint against Kelli. The suit alleges that Kelli owes a total of 26 grand. The credit union said they demanded payment from Kelli, but she has failed, neglected, and refused to make payments upon the account. Wow. So now the suit is demanding the entire unpaid balance plus the attorney fees. So that means I assume that the unpaid balance plus the attorney fees is what comes up to $26,434.86, right? Okay. So Kelli's rep tells us Kelli has not been served with any paperwork from Navy Federal Credit Union, which is an account that was shared with her now ex-husband. Due to our ex-husband currently being in the middle of bankruptcy proceedings, we cannot comment on the matter. Okay, so it sounds like they're saying they're trying to put that a little bit on the ex-husband, like, yo, he's the one. It has something to do with him. I don't know. Because most times when you get divorced, right, and there's like maybe accounts in your name, you guys decide, the court will decide who gets what, whose accounts needs to be, whose name needs to be removed from what account, what happens to the sum in there. So it's a little bit hard to believe that if it's not something that wasn't dealt with at the time, why is this still something that's an ongoing issue? Now, let's see what the ex-husband's reps are saying. Apparently, he was removed from all joint and business accounts, including those with Navy Federal Credit Union and Trust Bank during the divorce proceedings in 2022. You see what I mean? That rings more true to me, only because most times when there is a court order, for me, in my experience, has always been when there's a court order, the court, and there's all these joint accounts and whatnot, the courts may say, okay, this account will need to be closed, or, you know, see if you can remove one of the parties of the account who wants to take the account, and then whatever money that is in there would be accounted for in the combination of what the parties are dividing, right? So it's quite shocking and unusual to have an account that is still ongoing and it's still in one party's name, in both parties' names, sorry. And this is years later since the divorce. If the divorce proceedings was in 2022, she was in the courts. Okay, there are so many gaps for me. Do you guys remember that Real Housewives of Atlanta was filmed in 2024? So I'm confused because Kelli was saying she was also going through a divorce at the time. So which is true? Is it that the divorce proceedings started in 2022 but didn't finish until 2024, which happens sometimes? Or is it that the divorce proceedings were meant to, like, what happened? Because if you're saying this whole thing happened where you were removed from the joint and business accounts, I would have also expected a decree of divorce to have happened in 2022. So it's a little bit confusing to me as to what the timeline is. Somebody is lying. Somebody is lying about the date. Somebody's lying about something. I don't think everyone is being forthcoming about what the truth is. So apparently he's saying he has no knowledge of any loans or transactions initiated by Kelli after his removal from those accounts. And that is fair enough, in the sense that if he's telling the truth and he's no longer on the accounts, then of course he's not going to know what happened with that. I'm not going to bore you with the rest of the details. But I'm just gonna remind you guys that I'm going to add this little bit that he says, and then I'm going to remind you guys about the previous lawsuit that has happened, and then we can talk about my views about it. So he basically says the current legal dispute between Navy and Miss Kelli is strictly between those two parties. He is not named in the lawsuit and has no involvement in the matter. And that is a very, very good point. Usually, if the bank are suing, they would sue all of the parties to the account. The fact that he is not a party that is named in the lawsuit means that the account is not in his name, at least anymore. So, yeah, it's a little suspicious, Kelli. And then he says, we find it truly deeply troubling that his name continues to be invoked in matters to which he has no connection. This pattern of blame shifting 3 years post separation and divorce. That is very, very interesting. Post separation and divorce. 3 years post separation and divorce appears designed to divert public scrutiny from Ms. Ferrel's financial difficulties. This person's rep is really good, because that's what it actually looks like. Because if we're saying if the account is only in one party's name and it is made to seem like there is a whole thing where they're both involved when he no longer has access to the account and it's not in his name, it's definitely given you're just trying to remove the public from thinking you can't pay your bills, and you're making it seem like, oh, it's associated with your divorce, when that is not the case. Now, let's not forget, there was also a previous lawsuit about her chicken and waffles restaurant. So that's also something to bear in mind. So it is not, so there's clearly something that ain't right. It's given like financially, you don't have the money in what the money is saying, right? The money is not moneying, it's not adding up. That is actually what it is given, to be completely honest with you. It's given a little, money is not, yeah, you don't have the money, which is okay, because it's like sometimes you may not have the money, that's fine. But don't come on the show pretending to be something you are not. Don't come and give us a particular side of you that is not the truth. And then people are out here thinking like, oh no, she got it like that. And then you're talking about people that don't have money, knowing fully well you don't have money and you're living a fake life. I think that's the thing that rubs people the wrong way, or at least rubs me the wrong way, because I'm like, whatever the case may be, like, there's no need for you to now be acting like this. Yeah, like this ain't it. That you have it like that when you really don't have it like that. So that's my personal issue with that. But let me know what you guys think. Do you believe the ex-husband? Do you believe her? Honestly, in this case, I'm inclined to believe that his name was removed from the account, because if his name wasn't removed from the account, why would he not also be sued as a party to it? So that's also something that makes me lean more towards his perspective just on this issue. Anyways, that is all I want to talk about. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Don't forget to like, share, hit that subscribe button, and tap that bell button right next to it so you know every single time that I post. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye.